Thanks, Deputy Speaker. I rise to speak on this amendment, Fair Work Registered Organisations Amendment. I would have liked to have spoken for 15 minutes, obviously, but the Labor government have guillotined debate on this. I remember when we were in government, the Leader of the House would go off his tree if it was ever guillotined, but on this issue, they've got no government speakers and they don't want to let the opposition speak, right? Which is wrong. We should be able to speak. There's no reason why we can't sit late, but they're not letting us speak. So, in relation to these amendments from the member, the independent opposite, she makes some good points in the sense that the Shadow Attorney-General managed to get some good amendments in place that the Albanese Labor government were not going to put in. They weren't going to go hard on the CFMEU until the Shadow Attorney-General got them in place. And the amendment that the member has spoken about talks about the donations to the Labor Party from the CFMEU. We know it's huge, that in the lead-up to the 2022 election, there was almost $2 million donated to Prime Minister Albanese and the Labor Party from the CFMEU, far more than when the former Leader of the Opposition, I've forgotten what seat he is, but Maribyrnong, there was about $850,000. And we know that right around the country that Labor parties, both federally and every state, since 2007, I believe, have received some $100 million. And this relationship that the Labor Party have with the CFMEU is costing the people in my electorate. We're in the middle of a housing crisis and everything is costing more because of the deals that the CFMEU do. And I was speaking to a Tier 1 builder and they told me that every day there was coercive control. The Labor Party talk about coercive control in relationships and how bad it is. If I was an employer putting coercive and control on my staff, I'd be in the slammer probably. But every day the CFMEU come onto workplaces around this country and coercive control takes place. They are like a militia. And Tier 1 builders are 100% controlled under CFMEU agreements, and the rest of the industry isn't. And the CFMEU only want their members on the construction site. So if they are not a CFMEU, even if they're a member of another union, they will just put down tools, right? So what will happen if the builder says, oh, well, we're allowing someone who's not a CFMEU member on, or the builder says we're not going to allow CFMEU members to go and hand out for the Labor Party at the last election, which they did. They all left sites, I know, in Brisbane. The builder still paid them, i.e. the taxpayer, because most of these are state government jobs. What would happen? Those workers would be in the shed and they'd sit there for hours. Excuses like, oh, the pie warmers aren't hot enough, or the site's too dusty, or we're getting wet from the rain when we're walking between the lunchroom and going to the job site, or the heat, humidity or high wind. Plenty of reasons to stop work. Oh, accidentally, there's a bar of Rio. The end's gone off it. Oh, that's dangerous. Quick, in the shed. This happens all the time. Now, in the private sector, if they're building houses in my electorate at Newport or in North Lakes, guess what? The builder doesn't get paid. But these guys, and the Labor Party know about it, are still getting paid all the time. And what's happening? The money that the Labor Party has received, the first order of business was to abolish the Australian Building and Construction Commission. And what I've been told is under the ABCC, productivity was better. We know that under this Prime Minister it's fallen by almost 6%. The watchdog at least was there. There was a policeman on the beat. There has been a definite change in behaviour from CFMEU officials since the Labor Albanese government were elected, and they knew that they were protected by the Labor Party. The legislation that they brought in, they changed. Right now, the relationship between the CFMEU and Labor is hurting mums and dads and my children, and the young people here that serve in this place and right around the country they're at uni now, they're going to pay more for housing in the future, 30% more. So it's a double whammy. You've got higher wages under CFMEU EBAs that the Labor Party allow, the productivity is lower, and everyone pays more in the middle of a housing crisis. So it's an absolute joke. It's not good enough. In places like Queensland, where we've got the Olympics in 8 years, is any of this infrastructure going to be ready? Meanwhile, Labor Party politicians in this federal government and right around the country turn a blind eye to this every day, and now they're guillotining debate on this. It's outrageous, completely outrageous, Mr Deputy Speaker.